All right, welcome to a new episode of Real Estate First Technology. Today, I am going to be your only host, as our co-host, Mr. Dan Gandy, is on a listing appointment. Want to make sure to go ahead and give you all and gals, and whoever's listening or watching, a reminder to like the episode, subscribe. We would love your feedback, as it is our intention to give back and be able to serve this amazing real estate industry. So today, we're going to go back to the Bay Area, true to my heart, where I was born and raised. I was at a Play Bigger event, and at the Play Bigger event, shout out to Raquel. I met personally these two individuals. I seen them online, but I never actually really went deeper and played bigger with them. And now this is the opportunity to do as such. So we have Pri and Juan. Juan is the president at Kinetic Real Estate. Welcome to you both. Welcome to the show. I know you guys are both parents with a little one that was actually at the event, and you're a power couple and both at Kinetic, crushing it in the Bay Area. Welcome to Real Estate versus Technology.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah.
Really excited to be on.
Of course. So we like to go now with the new Unleashed platform and the new series. We like to go deeper and just keep it so it's more raw, authentic, and really be able to share your story with the intention to help someone else that maybe is going through the same thing. Because you never know, someone could be listening right now or watching that are new parents that are also in the business and they're a power couple, and they may be able to take some things from your experiences that can help them out as they go through that process. So I want to start off from the beginning. No business talk right now, or the fact that you're parents and all the things you have going on. Let's just talk about you two. So where did you two meet from the beginning and first catch each other's eyes or show up in the same, how did you two meet? I'm curious.
So we actually met in San Francisco on a random Wednesday night. I think it was like an oyster house. We individually almost didn't go out. He didn't almost go out that night. I almost didn't go out that night. I feel like it was just meant to be. And that's when we met in 2015.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, I think I had just moved to the Bay Area 3 months before that. And I had originally moved for family reasons, to be able to be closer to my mom specifically. Okay. And literally with no intention of really looking for partnership or anything. I was just super focused on a marketing business. And we randomly went grab a couple of beers with one of my business partners at the time, since it was his birthday that week. And obviously on a Wednesday evening, right, you're not really thinking about doing anything crazy, right? You're just grabbing a drink, right?
Of course.
Hanging out or whatnot. And we just happened to meet that day. And even in the beginning, I think we both were we're not really looking for a relationship. And we both agreed on that. But then we hung out every day for 3 months straight. And we're okay, I guess this is something, And I think one of the biggest things that I've realized about us, right, is that we actually started working since we met, meaning Pri was pretty much learning how to be a part of the marketing agency that I was building. And eventually we rolled into other businesses, and now we still work together after 8 years. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So was there something that a gravitational pull or something that you saw each other and just first, just of course, networking, talking, chit chat, whatever. But was there something that you felt that was just this person's interesting?
Well, I think that one of the big reasons why I originally expressed that I wasn't really looking to commit to a relationship or looking for anything of the sort was because I was just fully committed to building my business at the time. And as you know, right, as an entrepreneur or someone in business, your hours and your commitment is just unpredictable. Yeah. Meaning that it's hard to schedule things ahead of time. It's hard to, do all these different things. And I think that one of the things that stood out the most to me was that she was willing to go on that journey. And on that time frame that we were, getting to know each other, she pretty much was kind of going along the journey, if that makes sense. And then it became the idea of hey, maybe there's something that we can build together.
Wow. So Pri, what were you doing during that time? 2015, what were you up to? Were you small business
So
owner as well, or?
no, I was actually working for a company in San Francisco, and I had a fancy title, but going to work every day 9 to 5, like I was just unhappy. So at times I felt like, oh, am I being ungrateful, or is there more in life? Does that make sense?
Amen.
So I guess I was kind of like praying without knowing that I was looking for something. And then I randomly met Juan, and then here, he's been an entrepreneur since he was 18, and he kind of opened the door to personal development. See, I had never heard of personal development before. I grew up as an athlete, so I was like, you know what, I'm motivated, I'm, disciplined, but there's, but I had no idea, like there's a whole world of personal development out there, and there's levels to it. So once the first, he gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad to read, and I think I gave him some random book to read. It was like fiction book. I don't even remember. But that, yes, that book like just like changed everything for me. And what I was looking at the time was the reality, because at the job I was, I had this fancy title working at this corporate in San Francisco, but deep down I knew there was more to life. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I can relate to you on that because so my wife and I met on Instagram, and in doing so, she was paying for some bot, and the bot then automatically commented on my post because it was finding on the algorithm side. It was finding accounts that were going to be likewise, like same-minded, health, fitness, entrepreneur type. Then I commented back, and then we went back and forth, and eventually we actually went on a date. And she was a teacher for 16 years, and so not until 8 months ago did she finally go full time with her tea company, which you've met, and she was at the Play Bigger event. So let's go Red Zen Tico. And that's awesome, Juan, that you gave that to Pri, and Pri, you saw that potential opportunity. And it's so true. I feel like a lot of people out there that potentially could be at a 9 to 5 could look at that as like, oh, well, I'm an executive, I'm a regional director, man, whatever it is, but there could still be that inclining, like there's something more that potentially I could do. So then, so how did it transpire? Then Juan, you're like, hey, come check this out. Like, let's have a conversation. And then like, at what point, Pri, did you like say, I'm done, and quit your job and actually go full-time as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I was just really in a very non-direct way, opening the door for her to see what it was like in what I was doing, which was very much kind of like, you only get to reap the results that you produce. Very much, unlike the traditional corporate model of trading time and whatnot. And I think that there's nothing wrong with it. I just think that it all depends on what you're looking to build and what you're aspiring to, like, what are your goals, right? Because if the goal is to have more security and to be able to comfortably raise a family, I think that it does it well. However, if you're looking to accelerate like, for example, on my scale, right? I saw my parents immigrate from China to Mexico, and then I spent 10 years in Mexico as a Chinese American, seeing their sacrifice, and then immigrate again from Mexico to the United States. I just saw that as like an incredible price that they paid in order to get us to where we're at. So then my role was like, the way I saw it was like, what can I do to pretty much take it to another level, right? To pass on to the next generation. And I wasn't looking for the comfort and the security and all those different things. So yeah, I pretty much just was very non-direct. I didn't really want to sell her on like attempting to be an entrepreneur, self-employed or anything, which is why like the book approach, right? Letting her figure it out on her own, but at the same time showing her like, hey, this is what me and my colleagues and my business partners, this is what we're like doing. This is kind of the lifestyle that we have. It's never ending in a way, right? It's not your traditional schedule that you get to follow. However, there's a lot of meaning and a lot of purpose to it. And over time, she was intrigued enough to pretty much start like learning part-time, doing these things, and eventually went full-time.
That's so cool. How long did it take you to get full-time? And I know my wife, she battled with kind of self-limiting beliefs and like the thought process of like not having that consistent paycheck. So like, what came up for you?
Oh, totally. I was like, oh, what? I'm not going to get paid every 15 days. Like, how's that going to look like, right?
Yeah.
Because you're so used to it. But then you're not getting paid much.
Yeah.
You have this, they promise you this big salary, but after, like, I don't know, all these taxes, all that, by the time you get paid, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, this is not adding up. And then I call and then they're like, oh, well, these are all these deductions. I was like, well, nobody told me about these deductions. So it wasn't much, but it was the comfort, right? Knowing that it was going to come every 15 days.
Yeah.
So what I did was I would still work. And then after work, then I would work on my business.
Okay.
So I would work from 9 to 5, and then from 5 to 9 p.m., sometimes even 10 p.m., we would be out doing meetings and such. Um, and then like knowing that this is a short-term sacrifice. So then once my side business is able to cover my income, then I don't need to be here anymore, right? So if that's for someone who's at the job, then keep that job, but know that you're just going to be there for a little bit, and maybe use that flexibility to build your side business until your side business starts producing income, right? I feel like sometimes entrepreneurs just jump in, and then they might not make money the first couple of months, then they're back to a job, right? And then they blame the entrepreneurship journey or whatnot. But I think any business is going to take time, right? Like they're so used to getting paid every 2 weeks. That's not going to happen in a business, but you do have there's no income limit to when you're in business. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that transition, because for Melissa, she basically had a retirement and what have you, and we liquidated that, and then she was going full time with her tea company, and I was obviously helping with some of the income and what have you from my salary from the Liftoff agent side that does sponsor this show, and then I said, hey, there's money sitting here. Why don't we put it into fix and flip? So now we're on to our 4th or 5th flip now, and it will hit the market next week, and got really lucky on the first one, almost $30,000 profit. And this next one we're about to do, even with the downturn in the market, we're probably going to see close to $50,000 worth of actual gross income, which would be huge. And that's, well, technically net after taxes. It'll be less than that, but good for you for doing that. That is absolutely amazing. So let's talk about, 2015, right? And you're transitioning, you're in what type of business, and then whatever you were doing, love some backstory there. Like, why real estate to where you're at now?
Yeah. So at the time, I was working with a direct selling company doing marketing. So we would essentially be rebranding some services that people already use, right? Such as, telecom services,
Okay.
things that people use on a regular basis. And we would reroute clients to go through our agency, and we would get paid a residual on it, right? So every time someone paid the bill, right, we would get paid. So it was building that. So I actually did that for 8 years. And during that time period in 2018, I had an opportunity to partner with someone to scale and build an Airbnb portfolio. So when I in 2018, when we first met, we were doing the rental arbitrage model where we would lease properties, we would furnish them, Airbnb them, take a profit, and pay the lease and all the expenses. So we grew that portfolio from 2018. I think there was, when we started, we had about 15 units listed, to about 105 units by the end, by 2020. Yeah. So it was all throughout the Bay Area. So I got just a deep operations role, really building this company. And yeah, that's kind of how we jump started, quote unquote, in real estate, which is not really in real estate. It's more like in the hospitality business.
Yeah.
That essentially steered us towards real estate. And in correlation to that, Pri was getting her real estate license at the time while that was going on.
Wow. That's awesome. For anyone who's listening and viewing out there, kind of like an Airbnb hack. And I know there's some courses and some gurus out there that do that, where it's like you can lease an apartment and then you would turn it into an Airbnb, furnish the property, and then be able to, pay the lease and then have the difference, which is really cool. It's a cool hack, especially if you don't have any money and you're looking to do something where maybe you only have 5-10 grand, you just need to do first, last, and then deposit, and you need to get the furniture, and IKEA is not a bad option, I'm sure, and be able to put that together. So do you still have that portfolio? Are you still running that, or is that kind of dissolved?
So long story short is when the shelter in place happened in pandemic and COVID, I mean, you can imagine, right? We are responsible for all this liability, right? Monthly payments, expenses, leases, bills. So what ended up happening is that we had to do a big pivot when that happened. So I think that the biggest telling factor was that when they announced shelter in place in our area here in the Bay Area in California, within 24 hours, we refunded over $70,000 worth of reservations. And over the next 3 weeks, you can imagine. So what they were doing is that Airbnb was refunding the guests on reservations that are already paid for. So the host ended up getting the short end of the stick. So after everything, we ended up shutting 50 units in 3 weeks and slowly dwindled that portfolio down. At the same time, we were looking for ways to float the business essentially, right? Because we still had all these expenses. And that's how we ended up starting our real estate investing journey. We were forced to buy our first flip because we were attempting to come up with, a big chunk of cash in order to float the business. So that's how we ended up flipping our first house, and that journey began.
Oh my God. I mean, hats off to you, because I can only imagine the stress you'd be under, especially when you hear shelter in place and you have all these guests. And the biggest issue, I think, is, and I think the implication of like what you have as far as like the leases, right? To have that lease and the overhead, and depending on when that term's over, I mean, on some, sure, okay, lease is almost up, cool, we won't renew. But on the ones that you had 12 months just signed, and you're like this has to sit until they take that up. And like, who would have thought shelter in place and that everyone would have to like just hunker down, and like you couldn't go out, couldn't travel, couldn't do anything. That's just wow. So good for you for pivoting and doing what you're doing. We actually we do Airbnb and house hacking at our personal residence here in Gilbert, Arizona, because at the end of the day, we want our house to pay for itself. And so we rent a room because we travel a lot, and then we have an Airbnb as well. We got Airbnb Superhost within like 15 guests, and we're about to put a pool house in the backyard, and our house will pay us $6,000 to live in it. In the month of March, we got paid $5,000 to live in this house, and it's a 6-bedroom house on a 300 square foot home, 3-car garage with a 10,000 foot lot. So very blessed to be able to house hack. So who's listening right now, definitely house hack and do some of those things to be a little bit more safe and less ambiguous to go as large as you did. That's hats off to you, Juan. So how did you get into meeting with Kevin Cruz and Kinetic Real Estate? Because true story, I've known Kevin Cruz for a very long time, probably longer than majority of the people that know him. I met Kevin Cruz probably in 2008, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there, when he used to be in like the party promotion club era. I met him in San Mateo, California. My grandmother lives in San Mateo off 3rd Street. And I remember going to one of his events because I connected him on Facebook. And this is like before he got a real estate license and before he actually started working as a real estate agent over at Keller Williams in Belmont. So tell me a little bit of like, how did you meet Kevin Cruz and then so it sounds like Pri, you got your license first, then Juan, you got your license and now crushing it at Kinetic. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's incredible. That is definitely, how a lot of people know him from before. So he was one of the co-founders of Electric State of Mind, ESM, which was a events company, right? And they would put on events, and he built a ton of his network that way. That still today, we have some people that he knew from back then that actually work with us now. And
cool.
tell us stories or whatnot. But the way we met is at the time that this must be in 2018, 2019 timeframe, I was just going to a bunch of events to network, right? So I would go on Eventbrite, I would go on meetup.com, and I would just really go through any event that had to do with entrepreneurship or real estate investing or any of one of those topics. and I would just attend to build a network. I moved to the Bay Area, remember, in 2015 from San Diego, California, knowing no one, right? So I literally was building a marketing business from no contact list, right?
Wow.
So I would have to go prospect, and I would have to go and get myself in different rooms and different events for me to create a network. So in one of those networks, it was a real estate investing company, a real estate investment in Eventbrite. I met a gentleman that was telling me that he had this project in Redwood City, California. He was turning this house into a 10-bedroom, 10-bathroom house that he was going to Airbnb, right? It was this big property. And I shared with him a little bit about my experience with Airbnb, and happy to, be a resource at the time. And essentially, I went to that house to see the project. And in that house, he was at the same time, my friend, his name is Tom. He was pitching Kevin on an investment opportunity. So he was he was pretty much telling Kevin, like, hey, if you, invest this, right, these are your returns, etc. And I just happened to walk in the meeting, and we connected, followed each other on social media, on Instagram. And then I found out that he was in real estate and also owned a moving company. And because I was in the Airbnb world, I used movers all the time. So I ended up booking his moving company a handful of times, to where his business partner, Kevin's business partner, Steven, was like, hey, who's this Juan guy, bro? He's like, he just keeps booking our moving company for like kind of big jobs, consistently. And that's how Kevin and I really, got to converse a little bit more. And I shared with him the idea of my experience in Airbnb, and he shared his experience in real estate. And that's how we ended up partnering together. And it started from doing one business venture together to doing a couple investments together. And now, now we run Kinetic Real Estate and have investment properties and certain things like that. So, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So for the viewers and listeners out there, like literally what I took just now from Juan is like, get into bigger rooms, like what excites you, and get into those rooms that excites you. It doesn't matter if it's like car stuff or real estate, investing, whatever it is, like get into those rooms, get out of your comfort zone. Pri, I love what you're talking about. It's like, hey, started running with Juan a little bit and put in the extra work. So then that way I can be able to dictate the outcome of my inevitable future and be able to do what I want to do when I want to do, and not be subject to this 9 to 5 and this paycheck every 15 days. And I got to say, like, congratulations to both of you, because I feel like mindset's huge. I mean, timing's another thing, networking's another thing, and the fact that it all lined up the way that it did for you to be in this position that you're in now is super cool. So what is the goal? Now you're a power couple. You're at Kinetic. You're doing what you're doing in the real estate side of things, and now congratulations, new parents. What's the goal together? Are you just growing a real estate like empire within an empire? Like, do you have aspirations and goals of your own as a couple, or kind of just all work together as a team in Kinetic? I'm curious to see what's next. How does that look?
What's next? You want to share?
Wow, this is I don't think
Let's go, Pri.
Juan recently got his license. I don't think we kind of sat down and talk about what we what we want to do. But I think our long-term goal is just passive income, right? So I think right now we're like, how can we work together and have that big active income to potentially turn it into, buy rentals and have passive income. And we also love to give back to our church. We love to love on people. So, like doing things for them without having to check my bank account or, be able to give freely. And now that we have a baby, I think it's more intentional. So Juan just got his license 30 days ago. So now we're really kind of like sitting down and figuring out like what we're good at. I feel like I'm really good at, first time home buyers, being able to walk them through the whole process. Whereas Juan is really great with sellers because they're all about numbers and, equity and, all the different verbiage. So he actually already had 3 listing appointments so far in his first 30 days and was able to get his first listing. Yeah. So I think like just figuring out like where like divide and conquer kind of mindset, but also like what's our goal, right? Our goal is to have that big passive income for time freedom and also be able to give back. Yeah.
I love that. And who would, hold on, that was a big kind of like plot twist there of like, hold on, 30 days ago you got your license. Well, like I would have thought you've had it longer, even though you're in the investment world and like you're with Kinetic, and it makes a lot of sense, systems, processes, the president of the organization. But congratulations first off for getting your license. And no surprise, obviously, you're a hustler, so I wouldn't expect anything less. But congratulations on that deal.
Thank you. Yeah, I think one thing that I didn't mention was that, like, exactly that, right? Like, Pri actually joined Kinetic Real Estate before I was a part of it. She was an agent. She was one of the first 6 or 7 agents. We're at over 60 right now. But she really was one of the people that joined initially, along with Kevin Cruz and a handful of other people that really built out the foundation of what the company essentially is right now. And later on, I was in business already with Kevin through multiple other ventures. So then I jumped on board to really scale and grow the company in 2021. So not that long ago. And same thing, right? I think I had the sales and marketing skills from previous ventures, right, in the marketing business and cold prospecting, all these different things. And then recently, just this year, well, the transparent story behind it all is that Pri and I made a big commitment to something that we wanted to give to. And after Q1 of this year, we realized that we were really short, really short from where we wanted to be. So we're doing everything that we can in order to position ourselves to be able to fulfill that commitment. And one of the things that we saw as an issue, right, or as one of the things that we can improve on in the company was how do we get more listings, create more market share, and support sellers in a better way. And because of that gap, right, and the opportunity, that's kind of like why I got licensed, because before then everything obviously would just go through Pri, would go with through Kevin. And sometimes it would be advantageous because by not having a license as an investor, that there's less disclosures and certain things of the sort. So, but that's kind of like the full on story behind it. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I love that. And I'm on the same page. My wife and I want to do the same thing. We want to be able to have that freedom. It's like, okay, we're going to go to Kenya. And so I've been donating to an orphanage in Kenya, and we just want to go and serve that orphanage. Go. Right? Like later this year, we're going to go to Korea, and then we're going to be in the Philippines, and I'm going to go see our team on the Liftoff agent side. Shout out Vitz, who's going to be, going through the podcast, cutting it up, putting it on social media, and putting it onto our channels, and also all the streaming locations that this podcast will be on. And we want to have that because I feel like so many people in America are subject to debt, subject to a paycheck, subject to not being able to do what they want to do when they want to do it. And they're like a slave to their own business in a sense, or their own, 9 to 5 in a sense, where it's like they have to wait for like the vacation time to come up or whatever the case. And I feel like a lot of people are now starting to wake up and they're like, we want something different. We want to be able to have that freedom and that control and not have to worry about, like you said, Pri, looking at the bank account to see if we could serve or support or donate, whatever. So that's very admirable to both of you. And I'm very proud of you both. God bless. That's awesome that you're going to do that. And that's your aspirations. That's super awesome. So let's get into parenting talk now. Like new parents, like how has that pressure been on both of you managing entrepreneurship, listing appointments and what have you, getting back into maybe the swing of things, especially if you took any time off to just be solely with the baby. Like, how's that looking these days?
Yeah, well, I'll just pre-frame it and I'll have her share. But she essentially jumped on year 1 in real estate in 2021 full time, and initially really just looking to serve as many clients as possible, as everyone would be. And she ended up helping over 30 plus families year 1 in 2021. So that she had an incredible first year. Last year was her second year. And in the middle of it all, she finds out in January that we're expecting, right? So 9 months out of the whole year last year, her second year, was pregnant. And someone would imagine, even myself, I would think like, oh, maybe, she'll slow down, take some time off and do whatnot.
For sure.
She ended up helping 30 plus families last year, 9 months pregnant, doing her last open house at like literally 8.5, 9 months pregnant. And just continuing to just get results regardless. And I think one of the biggest things was that after the baby came, he was born in September. Pri was supposed to take some time off, and I
Okay.
think that we had some close friends that were like, "Hey, we have this referral, like, would love for you to take care of them." So she jumped back in, like literally month 1 or 2, um,
Wow.
and
Love
is
it.
on track to have a great year as well. So I'll pre-frame it with that, and she'll give you her perspective and her side of the story from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a lot of work, but at the same time it's a lot of joy at the same time. We're blessed by a healthy baby boy who's almost 8 months now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think just figuring out just going from like, everything kind of happened so quick for us, right? Even though we've been, together for a while. We once we got married, engaged, marriage, and pregnant, like quick, in like a matter of like couple of months. And it was just like, oh my God, now I'm pregnant. And then now we have a baby. So I feel like we went from like marriage to parenthood right away,
Yeah.
because we got pregnant at honeymoon, right? And
Ah.
then yeah, and then now you have a baby. But I think it's, I feel like every woman goes through like an identity crisis, right? It's like,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah.
like now I'm a mom, I'm running a business, like, oh, like, I gain all this weight, like, like, oh, like I'm going through this hormonal change, this physical change, like, and I think right now we kind of live in a society where a lot of people don't talk about that, or you just put your best self on Instagram. So yeah, it was a struggle, I would say, but also knowing that, you know knowing that I have a supportive family, a supportive husband, and then kind of like reminding myself that, hey, like I need to like take care of myself, so then I can take care of my baby and my family. So then I kind of got back into work. I kind of started working out, making sure like I'm taking care of my health and my self-care first. And I think like communicating, right? Like I used to be like, oh, like even with my husband, right? Like I should be like, oh, you should know this, right?
Mm.
But now it's like being very clear of like, this is exactly what I need, this is how I'm feeling. Can you help me here, or can you support me here, or hey, I'm feeling really like low energy right now, right? So just being able to communicate that. But I think just the mindset of like, hey, gotta do what you gotta do, like no one is gonna come and help me. Like I gotta like just put my best foot forward every day, and then like just go at it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that's great for any viewers, listeners out there, anyone, entrepreneur moms out there that are going through this process. Like, it's so true. Like, we have to take care of self first. And after we take care of self, then we can be able to show up that much better for anybody else. And my wife was doing a powerlifting competition when we found out she was pregnant, and she was doing deadlifts 3 or 4 days right before she had Jordan, our now 4-year-old. So she's the same way, A-type personality. She's just out there getting it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
Moms are powerful, and it's crazy because I remember talking to Mel, and she, like, my wife said something to Mel at the event and was just like, oh, like, you just miss your baby? Are you having a hard time like being away for like that far and that soon? And she's all, no, I'm good. Dad has a baby. I'm here. I'm ready to go and play bigger. Like, dang, Mel. All right, let's go.
Yeah, it's not easy, right? Like you
Yeah.
said. And I feel like that's so good for your wife, like that she understood that she needs to take care of herself first. But I feel like a lot of women sometimes forget about themselves, and they're like trying to figure out like who they were or who they are right now and where they're going. Like it's just, yeah. And I feel like, yeah, you just have to be able to ask for help. Like ask for help, like if whatever
Yeah.
you're going through, just be able to communicate that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I see that you're sharing some of your stories of working out, getting back into it, doing your thing, and that's cool. That's inspirational for a lot of individuals. I want to encourage those listening and watching to go and like, follow, connect with both Pri and Juan, because I think that'd be a good idea for them to watch your journey as you go through this process and you keep evolving. So I know we're getting closer to closing out here, and we really like to leave anyone who's viewing or listening something to apply to their business right now. And it doesn't matter if it's a book or if it's like, here's some suggestions, ideas, what are some takeaways? We'll start with Juan that you'd like to leave with our viewers and listeners, and then Pri, what would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners as we close out the show here today? You can go ahead and start, Juan.
Yeah, I'd say it's quite a boring journey to really be great at something. And what I mean by that is it takes the 5-6 days a week
Yeah.
to be learning, right? And get on podcast listening like this, and to get on the audiobooks, and to get on, reading books and all the content that you need to be ahead of the game, and to be in your best physical self. All right. Be working out, be doing something. And yeah, just growth is exciting and it's fun, but at the same time, it's boring. It really just becomes a thing of, are you disciplined enough to make the calls? Are you disciplined enough to continue to learn and continue to just be consistent, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what I've learned over my now 11 years of being in business. Is just that it's just a consistent everyday thing. And you look back and you're like, wow, this is awesome. But at every moment, you're going to feel like you're behind, right? Like if I were to probably ask you, right, hey, out of your entire journey experience, right, so far, do you feel like you're where you're supposed to be, or do you think you're a little bit behind? You probably say you're behind, right? Because I think that every entrepreneur feels that way, and that's the reason why they continue to grow and scale and go from there. And it really hit me when I asked the president of an $800 million company one time, and I said, like, do you feel successful? And he had been doing it for like 20 plus years, and he said to me the same thing. He was like, I feel like I'm behind. Like someone would imagine, right? Wow, president of this $800 million company, like they're doing incredible. And he said the same thing to me. He's like, you always feel behind, but that's why you just have to enjoy the journey, right? Remember that the most important things at the end of the day, you don't get to take with you, and are the memories that you create here with your family, your friends that you care about. So focus on the now and the moment, and hopefully you'll have some memories to take with you.
Oof, that was good. I like that. Pri, what would you give all the mothers out there, entrepreneurs, some advice?
Yeah. I would say, like, don't, every season is going to look different, and you just got to make it work, right? You just got to make it work. When you're pregnant, you're probably thinking, how am I going to show homes? What are clients going to think about me, right? Then you have a baby, then you're like, oh, like I'm on a call negotiating offers and my baby's crying in the background, right? I think you have to just be yourself, right? And for me right now, what's working for me is I am, with the market shift and all that, I'm sure it's a little bit, it might be a little bit slower for moms or other agents that are just transitioning back from motherhood to, like, your business. I would say, like, try and connect with other families, right? Try and, like, get out of the house, like I don't know, like, go to, like, libraries, like, go meet with other families and go to these events. And if there's no events, you create it yourself. And just try and connect with moms genuinely, right? Like, and then the real estate will come after anyways, because they're going to ask you, like, what do you do for work, right? So the last couple of my transactions came from moms group, right? So, like, I'm a part of a lot of moms group where we talk about our kids and, and about ourselves, and you want to connect with them in an authentic way and see how you can serve. So I would say just maybe keep building your database. Maybe they're not a buy right now, but maybe later kind of families, but keep making that connection, keep building the database, maybe go to different events. Actually, it also refreshes you. There's some times where I don't feel like going. I had a one-on-one coffee the other day and I was like, oh my God, like, it sounds so dreading. At the end, I felt so much better because I got to know that person. I got to share my story. They got to share their story. And there was a very genuine connection there. And I was like, oh, wow, like, this is what I like to do. This is what fills my cup. So maybe
Yes.
find out what fills your cup, right? And do more of that while also, having your business mindset in the back, but always lead with service.
Wow. True power couple. I love that. That was great. Both perspectives for our viewers and listeners out there. Juan, Pri, this was amazing. I really do appreciate both of your time. I know you're very busy entrepreneurs and also parents and have a lot going on. So I appreciate both of your time, as we always want to serve and give back to this industry. So thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us, Norman. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I know you do a lot for your community as well, Norman, and we see that and we appreciate it. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's been a long journey. So it means a lot to me for you to say that. And thanks to all our viewers and listeners, as it is our intention for you to take these short episodes to apply to your business and have more massive success. And we will see you all on the next one.